So next we will explore the types of relationships. Okay, what are the types of relationships that are available, not only in data warehouse. Okay, and as part of data modeling, what types of relationships are available? The relationship is also called as cardinality. Okay, it's also called as cardinality. Either you can call it as a relationship or you can call it as a cardinality. And you have, and also we will take a look at what is active and inactive relationship. This is very specific to Power BI, and followed by this, we'll take a look at what is cross filter direction, and if time permits, we will take a look at the rest of the topics. Okay. To start with, let us understand what is the relationship. Relationship is nothing but filtering. In the last session, I have shown you without relationship, the filtering was not happening at all, right? Okay, so that is the right reason why when it comes to Power BI, we need to create the relationship between the tables. Identifying the tables and creating the relationship between the tables are called your data modeling. Okay, and also I just rephrase it. Identifying the tables, which is nothing but the dimension tables and fact tables, and then identifying or creating the relationship between the dimension table and fact tables are called your relationship. Okay, or data modeling or dimensional modeling or data modeling. Okay, so there are four types of relationships we can create. One is one-to-one, and other one is one-to-many, and many-to-one, and many-to-many relationship. Partially, I discussed this one in the last session. So anyhow, we will take a look at each and every type of relationship now. So one-to-one, what is one-to-one relationship? Right, each citizen can have only one Aadhaar card, Aadhaar number. Okay, and each Aadhaar number can be owned by only one citizen. Aadhaar number, a single person cannot have multiple Aadhaar number, or the single Aadhaar number you cannot assign it to more than one person. This is a classic example for one-to-one. And similarly, passport number, those kind of things. Okay, and the next one is one-to-many. So one-to-many is something like this. What is the example for one-to-many? One-to-many. This is one-to-many. So one-to-many. What is one-to-many relationship? A single employee can work for more than one project. So in the case of work from home, nowadays employees are working for more than one company also, right? A single employee working in multiple project. A car manufacturer produces more than one car models, isn't it? And a customer can order more than one item. A single customer can order. These are the example for one-to-many relationship. This is pretty simple. Next, many-to-one relationship, the opposite, one-to-many and many-to-one relationship. In this case, more than one employee can work in a single project. This is one example. And the other example is more items ordered in a single order. Okay. This is just an opposite of one-to-many. Okay, the many-to-one. So we have seen one-to-one, one-to-many, many-to-one. We are left with many-to-many relationship. This is one of the important relationship, and you need to remember this. Almost all the interviews I've seen, this question was asked by the employers. My students, they pose this question. So what is many-to-many relationship? The many-to-many relationship occurs when multiple records in a table are associated with multiple records in another table. So it might be confusing. For example, if you look at this example, okay, more than one employee can work on a single project. Okay, more than one employee can work on a single project, and each project can have more than one employee. Okay, this is an example for this one. Okay, another example is the relationship between the orders and product. You can order various products when placing an order, and each product is containing 0 or more orders. This is another example for many-to-many, many-to-many relationship. It is not pretty straightforward implementing the many-to-many relationship in Power BI and also in other other applications. Okay, so it requires some kind of treatment. So what is that treatment? I will discuss that probably later sometime. Anyhow, I'll just give you some quick idea about how you can deal with many-to-many relationship. So you cannot avoid many-to-many relationship, because in the real-time scenario, most of the time you will encounter or you will land up with getting tables, with the many-to-many relationship. But you cannot implement it just like that. Okay, so for example, I have two tables, employee and project. So more than one employees are working on a single project, and each project we have multiple employees are working on it. So we have a many to many relationship here. Okay, so in that case what we do is we create something called bridge table. It is also called as a link table. Okay, bridge table or link table. Okay, link table. So what we do is, in this case, for example, in the employee table, I have something called employee ID and employee name. In the project table, I have project ID and project name. Got it? So in this case, right, if you want to join these two table, employee and project, you cannot join it directly, because right, so you don't have, but you don't have any common column between these two tables. First of all, can you see project employee ID is there here, but whereas the employee ID is not there. Project ID is there, but project ID is not there here. Okay, so what we do is, right, so we create something called, bridge table. In the bridge table, what we do is we keep the employee ID here, and then we keep the project ID. This kind of a bridge, okay, you are, bridge for these two, because, this table is helpful to, join these two tables. Okay, because you don't have any common column between these two tables. Okay, so that is the one thing. But you might be wondering, can I keep the project instead of creating this one? Can I keep a project ID here, column from this table? From this table, can't I keep the project ID directly here, so that the each I have, all the information available here, and also I can join the project ID with this table, and then I can get the project name. You might be asking this question. Okay, so but you can have it, but the challenge here is, for example, this guy, right, Rajendra, right, this guy is working on more than one project. Let's say P001 and P002. Okay, this is violating the first normal form. There is something called first normal form rule. As per that, you cannot keep more than one value in a column. See the column. See, in this case, the employee name is a very big one. It is not two employees name. Okay, single employee name is only one employee name is this one. It's a very big one, but you cannot have more than one value in each column. That is one of the rule you need to remember it. Since it is violating the normalization rule, you cannot keep the project ID column in this table. And similarly, employee ID, you cannot keep it here. Okay. So the other option is, okay, what I do is 101. Since I'm not allowed to keep more than one value in each column, what I do is P001, I'll put it here, and then I will P002 here, and I will repeat the same thing here, employee ID. So in that case, 101, right, at the bottom, right, you put 101. So 101 is working on project ID, 101 is working on project 2. So you can think like that. But the problem is, this is a primary key. What is primary key? The primary key column, you can have only unique values. You cannot have duplicates. So in this case, if you put the 101 here, what will happen? One more 101. It is violating the primary key rule. So hence, this record will get rejected. You cannot insert it. First of all, duplicate keys. Once you define a primary key for a column, you cannot insert the duplicate values in this column. Okay, so hence it is violating. So for that reason, so one is you cannot keep you cannot keep more than one value in a single column, and also you cannot have duplicate rows. It is violating the normalization rule. So the only way out is we create separate table. So in this table we keep both the tables key columns here. So the primary key, but in this table the employee ID is the foreign key and project ID is the foreign key. Because in this table for the employee ID, the values are coming outside of this table. right? From this table it is coming, from employee table, right? From the employee table, the employee ID column, hence it is a foreign key here. It is a primary key here in this table, whereas in this table it is a foreign key. Similarly, for this table, the project ID is the foreign key, whereas here the foreign project ID is primary key. Correct? So, but now the question is, so here I have duplicate values. So the same employee ID 101 is working on SCA01, and the same employee ID, is working on another project. You might be asking this, and here we have duplicate, but this is not a foreign key. It's a primary. Sorry, this is a foreign key. This is not a primary key. Foreign key, you can have duplicate values. So project ID is a foreign key here. It is not a primary key. But here, it's a employed and project ID forms a composite primary key, or we call it a composite key. For employee ID 101, SCA01 should be there, but same 101 SCA01 should not come here. That's the rule. So if you look at it individually, each column, you can have duplicate values here, but since you are joining these two key columns here, right? So it's a composite key. So 101 SCA01, again you cannot put 101 SCA01. Okay. See, this employee ID is already working SCA01. Why again you need to put the same thing again, right? So 101 RE01 and 102 SCA01. Okay. So here now we understood, if you wanted to query the values from these two tables, okay, so you need to join these two tables. To join the tables, you don't have the common key exists between these two tables. You cannot keep this table's primary key column here, or and vice versa, because it is violating the normalization rule. Since you need a special treatment, that is where we bring in the bridge table. The bridge table, we keep both the tables. In this case, we keep the primary key column here, right? So though in this table we keep the other table's primary key column, it is called as a foreign key. But individually, if you look at it, foreign key, but the combination of these two are called your composite key. Basically, the bridge table will have the composite key in it. So in that case, what will happen is, with this, you should be able to see if somebody is asking, right? So, okay, now what is the relationship exists between these two? This is one side, this is many side, one to many relationship. For each employee ID, you have more than one, project detail available. For each employee, you can see you can see their multiple project ID in this table by joining this. Here also, right, you have one to many. So this, for each project, you have only one record, but you have many records are there here. For example, SCA01, right? So here you have only one record for SCA01, but SCO01, we can see the more than one occurrence of the SCO01, because more than one employee is working on SCO01. This one will be slightly confusing at this moment. If in the case of interview, they ask you, so what is many-to-many relationship? So you can tell the definition. This is the one. And okay, how do you deal with that? So you can tell them, this cannot be avoided. In real-time scenario, we have posed this kind of, the many-to-many relationship. In that case, we have introduced something called bridge table. So what is bridge table? The bridge table will hold the key columns from the other tables. Okay. Supposing I have a table called employee, you just explain this example. That's it. They keep quiet. Fine. Okay. The next topic is the direction of relationship. Okay. We have something called the direction of relationship. Okay. You have something called unidirectional relationship. Okay. And you have something called, the cross filter direction, both. Okay. So in that case, for example, you wanted to filter the date from your ship date to your sales data table, right? So this is one side, this is the many side. But if you want to filter, the ship date by the sales data table, you need to enable something called both. So how many of you remember this one, cross filter direction? I have shown you in my, in the last session. 1 second. Anything related to data model, you need to go to the model view. So the third one, this one, okay, this icon, we need to click on this icon. Like I have explained you in the previous session, when you load the table into your Power BI desktop, the relationship between the tables will get created or detected automatically, and it will get created by Power BI desktop. You don't have to create the relationship explicitly. However, it is very much important, though the relationship get created between the tables by Power BI desktop, you need to validate it. For example, if I go here, this is my model view. This is where we do the data model design. In this case, look at the fact table got linked with the product dimension table and location dimension table. Okay, for example, when I click on the manage relationship, we can see the relationship for all the tables here. Okay, you can see all the table. But if I wanted to edit this one, look here, product ID in product. If I edit this one, you can see here the cardinality and cross filter direction. I'm talking about the direction of the relationship, cross filter direction. So if you click on the drop down here, you can see two options. One is single, other one is both. This is also interview question. The interview will ask you what are the options are available in cross filter direction. You have to tell single, both. There are two options. Okay. Okay. So in this case, right. So in this case, a single. The cross filter direction is single. Okay. I just open it one more time. In both the cases, you can see one to many, right? Look here, in the sales spec table, there's something called location key. There's something called location key. Look here, we can see the location key in the sales fact table. In the dim location, also we have location key. Since the location key is common between these two tables, and the name also same, location key and location key is same. What happened? The Power BI automatically detect the relationship that it created. You can also manually create it. Okay, and you can also manually create the relationship between tables. This I already explained it. Anyhow, don't worry, I will walk you through it one more time, how to create the relationship manually. So look here, if you see these three tables, right, especially when you look at the dimension tables, I just moved the dimension tables above the fact table, because the relationship between the product table and sales factor is unidirectional. Look here, if I hover the cursor here, product ID got highlighted in both the tables, product as well as in the sales fact table. Okay. For each product, you will find more than one, more than one occurrence of the product ID in your fact table, because fact table is a transactional table. It's kind of a transactional table, whereas product table is a lookup table, or it's a dimensional table. Dimension table will have one, will have a unique record for each product. You cannot have the duplicate records for the same product. Okay. Okay, now we can see that there is a one-to-many relationship. The product table can filter the fact table, whereas the fact table cannot filter back the product table. Because if you see the arrow here, the down arrow, the key is filter and right, so flowing down the product. See the product ID column, right? So the product ID from your dimension table is flowing down from your product table to your fact table. Similarly, in the case of location dimension, the location key is flowing from your dimension location down to your fact table. So the arrow is pointing in this direction. But what if I wanted to filter, using fact table, if you want to filter the product table, or if you want to use my fact table to filter the location table, how can I do that? Okay, another thing is, if I want to filter, let's say I want to use my location table to filter the product table, is it possible? No, because there are no direct relationship exists between these two tables, right? There is no direct relationship exists between these two tables. So in that case, what we do is we enable cross filter direction. For example, you want to use the location table To filter the product dimension table, you need to enable the bidirectional relationship between these two tables. Supposing you want to use your product table to filter the location table, you need to enable the bidirectional relationship between these tables, so that the sales fact table can go and filter the location table. If this table can filter this one, obviously in the product table you can filter sales fact table, and fact table can filter your dimension location table. I'll just show you with one example so that you will be able to understand very clearly. So the purpose of cross filter direction, both, we are talking about the both. So currently the cross filter direction is single unidirectional from, because the arrow is pointing down from your product dimension to fact table, and here also the same thing. And I just show you one example here. This is my sales fact table. Here what I wanted to know, each location. Okay, I'm using the product table, right? So here I just drag and drop the location, and I want to filter this one. Okay, and here the product ID. Here what I do is, this is my table visual. Look here, it got highlighted. And if you see on the right side, just beneath the visualization, you can see that the table. In this, with this, you should be able to ensure that, okay, what visual is that? This is a table visual. Fine. Just beneath this, you can see what columns that I used it to populate this data. So location name, I have used it. Here, hence the location name got displayed here, and product ID column also I used it. Hence the product ID related data got displayed in this table. Fine. The next thing is, so here we wanted to know, right? So for example, in this case, a product ID, I just go and do some kind of count. In each city, how many products we sold it, right? So I want to see it, but it is not doing the filtering. So this column comes from where? Dim location table. This column comes from product, dim product. So now I'm not able to use the location column to filter the product dimension table, because these two tables do not have any relationship directly. Okay, so what I do is, now I just go and enable. So yeah, location table wants to filter the product, right? So what I do is, I just go and change the cross filter direction to both, from single to both. When I click on it, what will happen is, if you notice here, double arrow you can see it here. So down arrow and up arrow. The product table can filter sales fact, and sales fact can filter the product table. Okay, let me see here now. Look here, in Bangalore, 9 products got filtered. So sorry, 9 products we sold, and Chennai we bought. So now we can see the filtering is happening correctly between the dimension location table and the dimension product table. So since we don't have bidirectional relationship, you cannot filter these two things, because the simple thing is dimension location product, they see here, the dimension location sales fact has a relationship. This line is there. Similarly, dimension product and sales fact, we create the relation, this line is there. But both the table, if you see the direction from location to sales fact, only the location key is flowing from my location table to this one. Here the product ID column is flowing from product dimension to sales fact table. Okay, since there is no direct relationship, I cannot use my location table to filter the product. For each location, how many number of products I sold it. If I wanted to know it, since we don't have the direct relationship, what we are doing is, we are enabling the bidirection. So in that case, what will happen is, you can use the dimension location to filter the sales fact table. Fact table can filter back the product table, because we enable the bidirectional relation. That's the reason why we are seeing up arrow. So since we are seeing up arrow, what it tells us, the sales fact table can go back and filter the product table. Okay, so now you understood what is cross filter direction both is all about. By default, cross filter direction is single. So you can enable cross filter direction both if you wanted to filter the values from one dimension to another dimension where it doesn't have any direct relationship. In that case, you can enable the direction. Supposing you want to see in each product how many locations we sold, right? So if you want the opposite, you want to use your product table to filter the dimension table. In that case, you need to create the bidirectional relationship here. Okay. 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 Now the question is it advisable to enable cross filter direction both? So I'm talking about is a cross filter direction both. Is it advisable? It is not advisable. There is a downside to this option both in the case of cross filter direction because it will degrade your performance, right? So the filtering is active when many side is cross filtered, right? So the many side is cross filtered. Look here. So this is the many side. Star is many side. Right? See the filtering is active when the many side is cross filtered, right? So what will happen is, right? So because this table have huge volume of data, and let's say you have multiple dimensions, right? You want to use other dimensions to filter it. So in that case, what will this table will unnecessarily go and filter this table, okay? Because here you have billions and billions of records are there. So in that case, it will cause performance degradation. Okay, there is a business requirement. My user reporting user, he doesn't know about data modeling, cross filtering, direction, all these things. He doesn't know. He's a layman, right? So but he is a layman, but still as a technical techie, right, we should be knowing whether is it the right way of doing it or not. So yes, this is the only way, but this is a requirement. This is what this is the report he needed from us. As a report developer, we can develop this visual with this data, or we can do filtering like this using cross filter direction both, but it will slow down the performance. If I have multiple visuals, let's say I have some other visuals, and that visuals having different values, something like, but all the values are coming from these three tables, right? So it will definitely slow down the performance. So, but this is how you need a report. I cannot say it will slow down the performance. I cannot give this report. So what is the way out? Yes, there is another alternative. We have DAX function. Okay, that is where the DAX is very much helpful. Using the DAX function, you can enable the cross filter direction both temporarily. You can enable the cross filter direction both temporarily. This we will take a look at it when I discuss about the DAX topic. That is the last topic. Okay. Fine. That time I will explain you what exactly there is a function called cross filter, okay, in DAX, using which we can enable the bidirectional relationship temporarily. So when you enable it temporarily, so in that case you don't have to create the you don't have to set this direction both all the time. But once you set it as both, it will remain permanent. Okay. But what I do is I will leave it as it is, but I'm going to use a DAX function called cross filter function, using which I can enable the bidirectional relationship. Okay, that's kind of a temporary, that's all. And then once that calculation is done, or once this thing is done, right, it will set it back to the previous thing. So the unidirectional relationship. Hope you understood the the direction of the relationship. One is the unidirection relationship, other one is bidirection, which is nothing but if you set the value for the cross filter as both, that is called bidirection. So in the case of bidirection, what happens? The fact table can filter product table and vice versa. Okay, that is what called as a the bidirectional relationship. Now you understood what the difference between single versus bidirectional relationship, and how so how to whether you can enable the cross filter direction both or not. That also we discussed the implications of that one. If you're enabling it as both, what is the implication? We understood, and the solution also I discussed. But the demonstration I will demonstrate it when I start to the DAX part. Okay, I'll demonstrate at the time of explaining the DAX part.